Good morning, good people, and thank you so much for joining us once again on another fresh edition of The Brief, live on My Media Prime Television, a program where we always get to dig several layers beneath the major headlines as captured by newspapers. On today's edition of the program, the newspapers are focusing on the sad incident in Yaoundé, where a woman reportedly butchered or killed and butchered her sister-in-law for a money ritual, as we are told. We shall tell you more this edition of the program, where the woman was promised 500 million francs CFA by a Facebook user that she came in contact with. And many other major headlines, especially the Anglophone crisis and what the bishops of the Bamenda provincial ecclesiastical province have said in Buea after their one-week meeting. They call on government to initiate another dialogue that will end the conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. The bishops they were speaking in Buea shortly after the one-week meeting that they held, and several other decisions were taken during the meeting by the bishops concerning the political life of the country, as well as the society, especially the northwest and the southwest regions of the country. Let's have the headlines in the French language newspapers with Glwadys Bomotonguina. Glwadys, bonjour.
Bonjour Lasha, bonjour à vous et merci de nous retrouver une fois de plus pour cette autre édition de Débrief, votre émission bilingue de revue de presse sur My Media Prime et Télévision. Alors ce matin, nous débutons avec le journal Le Jour. Le journal Le Jour qui nous parle des inscriptions sur les listes électorales en ce qui concerne les présidentielles de 2025. En effet, le journal Le Jour nous précise ce matin qu'il ne reste plus qu'une semaine pour s'inscrire sur les listes électorales. La révision annuelle donc commencée le 1er janvier s'achève donc ce 31 août. Quelle mobilisation pour cette dernière ligne droite. Les détails sont donc en page 2 et 3 du journal Le Jour ce matin. À sa page 5, le journal nous parle du contentieux électoral à la FECAFOOT. Samuel Eto'o reste donc le président de la FECAFOOT. Une sentence du TAS rendue publique hier. Les détails sont donc effectivement en page 3 du journal Le Jour ce matin. Mesdames, Messieurs, nous poursuivons avec l'œil du Sahel. L'œil du Sahel nous parle en grand titre de la Damawa. La chicote de Jean Kueté à ses camarades indélicats, c'est du moins ce qu'a précisé le journal L'Œil du Sahel ce matin en grand titre à sa page 3. En page 3, toujours, le journal nous parle d'une évasion spectaculaire à la prison de Ngaoundéré. En page 9, le journal nous parle de la grève des enseignants, la maintenue du MINESEC au syndicat. Nous restons toujours dans le journal L'Œil du Sahel à sa page 12. Le journal nous parle du port autonome de Douala. 1365 milliards de francs CFA par an d'impact sur l'économie nationale. Mesdames, Messieurs, nous continuons ce matin avec le journal Réalité Quotidien Plus qui nous parle en grand titre de Tonga. Le collège Saint-Joseph accueille donc Monseigneur Paul Lanti-Queneux, évêque de Bafoussam. Les détails sont donc en page 2 et 3 du journal Le Quotidien Réalité Plus ce matin. À sa page 4 et 5, le journal nous parle d'union et un fou moutre d'assassinat et d'agression à Edom, seulement contre la famille de feu Jeanne Irène Billa. Dans un document exclusif parvenu à notre rédaction, on apprend qu'une bande d'individus armés de machettes et couteaux apparaissent, décapitent des personnes et disparaissent dans la nature. Les détails sont donc en page 4 et 5 du journal Le Quotidien Réalité Plus ce matin. Nous continuons, mesdames, messieurs, avec le journal Émergence. Émergence Quotidien parle en grand titre de la rentrée scolaire 2022-2023, limite drastique des effectifs par salle de classe. En effet, le gouvernement a fixé le nombre d'élèves à 60 par classe. Les détails sont donc en page 3 du journal Émergence Quotidien ce matin. À sa page 2, le journal nous parle de la filière bois au Cameroun. Pourquoi le démarrage du complexe de l'Omnier a été reporté. Les détails sont donc en page 2 du journal Émergence quotidien ce matin. Nous clôturons, mesdames, messieurs, avec l'économie quotidien. L'économie quotidien nous parle en grand titre du docteur Albert Zé. Il faut donc mettre en place une riposte gouvernementale bien coordonnée. Économiste de la santé et fondateur de l'Institut de recherche pour la santé et le développement, il se prononce sur la décision de Manaouda Malachi, ministre de la Santé publique. Les détails sont donc en page 2 du journal L'économie quotidien ce matin. À sa page 3, le journal nous parle d'entretien routier, les propriétés de l'exercice 2023. Mesdames, Messieurs, voilà pour vos titres en langue française. Place à la découverte des titres en langue anglaise avec toi, Lasha.
Thank you, Glwadys. Bomotonguina. Let's kickstart this morning with the Herald Tribune newspaper. The Herald Tribune newspaper this morning is taking us to Bamenda to talk about what happened in Bamenda during the funeral of the mother of Territorial Administration Minister Paul Atanganji. Paul Atanganji, who was in Bamenda yesterday to bury the mother. And during the funeral mass that was organized in Bamenda, the Archbishop of the Metropolitan Archdiocese of Bamenda, His Grace Andrew Nkia, tells Yaoundé, tell Yaoundé we need roots, Archbishop Nkia. Those were his words to Minister Paul Atanganji, according to the paper. His Grace Archbishop Bamenda has told the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, to tell his hierarchy in Yaoundé that Bamenda needs roots. I am confident they will hear from you, the Archbishop continued. The Archbishop of the Metropolitan City of Bamenda made this statement during a funeral mass, like I earlier mentioned, to lay to rest the mother of the Minat boss, Paul Atanganji, who passed on to glory. And over there in Konsamba, nightclub attendant found dead under unclear circumstances. The 25-year-old lady is said to have died under mysterious circumstances in Konsamba, Mungo division of the littoral region of the country. Minchere Tiongong Jose, said to be a witness or waitress at the nightclub, was discovered dead in her bed on Saturday, August 20, 2022. Let's talk about the meeting of the bishops of the Bamenda ecclesiastical province who met in Boya for over a week. Bishops repeat call for fresh dialogue to end Anglophone crisis. The bishops of the Bamenda Provincial Episcopal Conference have held their 73rd meeting or ordinary meeting in Boya for close to a week. Like I earlier mentioned, the bishops reflected on the pastoral work and the challenges that have affected the ecclesiastical province of Bamenda, which consists of the diocese of Bamenda, Boya, Kumbo, Manfe, and Kumba. More details on page 4 of this edition of the Herald Tribune newspaper. We take you to Newswatch newspaper this morning to talk the armed conflict in the southwest region of the country. Investigations into Moja's atrocities underway, as the paper tells us that Moja, who has decided to take the law into his hands by arresting and torturing civilians in the name of fighting Ambazuna fighters, is under investigation after several lawyers filed in complaints against the said traditional ruler, who doubles as member of an elite or the elite unit of Cameroon's army, the B. You can read more in this edition of Newswatch newspaper. And Newswatch is also telling us that the Minister of Public Health of Cameroon, Dr. Manaouda Malachi, is under threat for banning skin whitening products. The minister recently said he has received threats from unknown individuals regarding his decision, or the decision he took to ban some skin whitening products, as we are told. Let's talk about 2022-2023 academic year. Break time over for 444 clandestine schools. We are told that 2 weeks to the start of the 2022-2023 academic year, a cloud of uncertainty hangs over some 444 privately owned primary and secondary institutions in 6 regions of the country. The Adamawa, Center, East, Littoral, South and West regions that have been shut down for operating clandestinely in separate decisions signed a couple of days ago by the Ministers of Basic Education, Professor Laurent Serge Etundi Ngwa, and his peer of Secondary Education, Professor Nalova Lionga, for faulting the institutions for opening illegally or operating illegally, as the paper tells us. We continue to talk more issues this time around, as promised by government to enforce decisions of the National Communication Council. The council has extended sanctions on defiant journalists and untouchable media organs. More details in this edition of Newswatch newspaper. On to the Guardian Post. The Guardian Post newspaper is taking us to the United Arab Emirates to talk about what happened there recently with a Cameroonian graduate turned laborer who has dropped dead at a construction site in Dubai. The Cameroonian University graduate Yongwu Dennis Nche, 28 years old, is said to have dropped dead at a construction site in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. Nche is said to have died in the morning of Monday, August 22, under unclear circumstances. More details in this edition of the said newspaper. And for what has been happening in Kumba for some time now, we are told that 3 suspects have been arrested. One of the 3 suspects being an Ambazonia or ex-fighter, and he was arrested for implanting explosives in Kumba. And the paper tells us further that the former Ambazonia fighter Mukube Bismarck, 21-year-old, has been arrested alongside 2 others in Kumba, Meme division of the southwest region of the country, for being at the origin of multiple explosives uncovered in the city of Kumba recently. Other members of the gang are Toko Rudolph, 26, and ex-convict, and Ashu Robinson. Ashu is said to be a friend of Mukube, as we are told. You can read more on page 4 of this edition of the Guardian Post newspaper. Let's talk about this horror in Yaoundé, where a woman has been arrested for allegedly killing, butchering sister-in-law into pieces. The incident happened at the BMRC neighborhood in Yaoundé, the political capital of Cameroon. On to womb cancer echoes. Womb cancer echoes this morning is focusing on projects or what the mayor of Womb Council has been doing for that municipality, and this newspaper is dedicated to giving information about the activities of Womb Council, as we are told. And this morning the paper is telling us how the mayor has been sizing up works and the stewardship of the set council. And the paper is also talking about mentioned senior divisional officer who has taken peace message to Womb residents in that part of the country. And equally, we are told that persons living with disabilities in Womb have embraced the Keep Clean campaign in Womb. The Keep Clean campaign in Womb, an initiative of the mayor of Womb, Digambong Anthony, as the paper tells us. Thank you for watching, televiewers on My Media Prime. We are back in the studio this morning to continue with our discussions, and we are receiving 2 gentlemen this morning. Dr. Nicolas Santos, who is joining us on the line to the US, and Maitre Alex Ndive, who is also joining us via Skype on the line to UK this morning. Good morning, gentlemen, and welcome once again.
Good morning, Mr. Lasha Kinsley. Good morning, viewers. Good morning, Mr. Alex Ndive. Hope all of you guys are doing fine.
It's been long, yes, Dr. Nick Santos. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Lasha.
Good morning, Maitre Alex.
Glwadys. Good morning to your entire team, and it's a pleasure to see Mr. Dr. Nick Santos on your program. I hope he's going to explain to us how we intend to bring peace. When Mr. Biya haven't got power, he rely on the de facto president. So he must be very powerful to try to bring peace, knowing that France still control our country. So I'll be happy for him to come and explain to us how you are hope to achieve that peace when Mr. Biya himself cannot achieve the peace because he gets order from the de facto president of Cameroon, Mr. Macron.
Yes, Maitre Alex, let's begin vividly with this headline by the Herald Tribune newspaper, zooming on the just ended meeting of bishops of the Bamenda Provincial Episcopal Conference, who met in Buea for over a week, and they were talking about pertinent issues in the country, especially in the northwest and southwest regions of the country, where they call on the Biya's regime to initiate another fresh dialogue for return to normalcy in those two English-speaking regions of the country. With Dr. Nicolas Santos' initiative, don't you think that it is coming at the right time with more pressure mounting on the Biya's regime to initiate a dialogue?
Mr. Lasha, it is nice to talk, but we must stop backing to the moon. It is very important that, yes, we want dialogue, but what dialogue? Listen, I understand the system that operates in Cameroon. When a medical doctor wants to operate a patient, you have to diagnose the illness. I have diagnosed the illness of Cameroon, and I will tell you, France still manufacture our money. France determined the political and socio-oriental destiny of Cameroon by all those things. France has determined Cameroon's educational program. France still do all those things, military assistance or whatsoever. So you have to look at those things first. You cannot go and be knocking Mr. Biya's door that you want to dialogue when Mr. Biya himself hasn't got power to do that. You saw what happened when they gave us the so-called decentralization. It was not Mr. Biya who gave us, it's President Macron who ordered it. And it's just in paper, because I always like to do comparative studies. When you look, we have decentralization in the UK. What has Scotland got? They have devolved what? Economy, health, education, justice, royal affairs, housing, equal opportunity, consumer advice, transport, taxation. It is devolved. They have a parliament, they have a first minister. That is decentralization. Tell me what they have decentralized in Cameroon. Nothing. So sometimes we have to look. I know Mr. Nick Santos, you say you like to diagnose things. First, if you want peace, you should diagnose the situation, what is happening in Cameroon. It's not about calling the government. Mr. Biya hasn't got that power. It's a fact. The cooperation agreement of 1959 between France and Cameroon is still existing. So how do we stop that? That's the first port of call. If we just go around saying we should make peace, we want to talk, Mr. Biya is hiding in a tunnel because he cannot do anything. He knows that he belongs to France. How do we solve that problem first?
Mais maître, à vous écouter, on a l'impression qu'on ne peut donc pas apporter ce calme dans le nozo sans toutefois que la France n'ait donné la décision.
So, Maître, let me just add to what Glwadys is asking. Why don't we turn to France? Go beg France or call on mount pressure on France?
We are not going to beg France. What we intend to do, which I presume people like Dr. Nick, I'm sure at some point they will come to my port of call. Rather than us stand talking, I've learned from Scotland, Northern Ireland, the Catalans and other things. We should put ourselves to stand as member of parliament and councillor. And when we get those seats, we have got the mandate. France will not be able to do anything. That's the solution. Okay. Let's be the change that we want to see. If we just talk, we don't put action. We don't put ourselves forward that we want to be those members of parliament and keep the do-nothing members of parliament in Cameroon. And let's be that parliamentarian and we'll tell the government now that we have got the mandate. Because as things stand, the government say, who are we going to talk to? When we have a mandate, the government won't say, who do we want to talk to? That's what we believe in British Cameroon National Party. And at some point, I'm sure Dr. Nick Santos will join me. And I intend to talk to people. Rather than us say peace, it will never work.
Okay.
We are not going to ask permission to be members of parliament. We are not going to ask France. We are going to be those parliamentarians who tell France that this is what we want now. English institution in the English part of Cameroon, French institution in the French part of Cameroon. That is what I stand for. That is what I believe in. And I believe with time, most people in Northwest and Southwest and our French brothers in the other side, they will understand what I'm saying. That is the mission, and I believe it's workable.
Okay, Dr. Nick Santos, you listen to Maitre Alex Ndivede. You are championing an initiative after the very first one that failed, the Ghana Peace Conference that you initiated alongside Dr. Ndongwin. It didn't work out. Now you are talking about another one, calling on the government to give you the chance to bring people together and talk peace in the Northwest and Southwest region. How do you intend to achieve this one?
First of all, Mr. Lasha and fellow panelists and viewers, I'm very glad to be on board today with Mr. Alex and Singer, who has been my big brother from childhood. That's my big brother's friend in the days. We are very close together. We grew up together. And I think I applaud his political stamina because he has been a very heavyweight activist from childhood till this day. And even when this protest began, I think he was leading this protest even ahead of myself, the protest for marginalization, the protest for our identity as Anglophones. And I applaud him for that. Even in England, in the UK, he took his mattress and slept in front of the embassy one time. Knew about that. And then he was old enough to go to the Grand National Dialogue, and without main thing was he echoed the same concerns he's echoing right now, which I want to salute him for that, for standing very firm to that. But it comes now to the point of we are at the phase of looking for medication. A medication to this problem. We want to get a treatment problem. And getting a treatment for this problem means that we have to sit and the talk from where the talk last ended at the Grand National Dialogue. I said last time when I came out that we are about to write the missing chapters of the Grand National Dialogue. The missing chapters of Grand National Dialogue is like you write a book and you see that somewhere it was not an inclusive dialogue. Then you go appealing to the others who were absent so that they can come and sit and give their opinion about what they felt was missing, so that we can go up that and add in that book, which can be like an addendum or an appendix to that book. So I think from what Mr. Singer is saying is that we the international community, because if up to this time, getting to 6 years, no international partner has come to side with us in the struggle, it means that as he's saying that we should continue to wait for that United Nations to come, that the United Nations will never come. Because let me tell you, at the Security Council, France, as he says, is blocking this issue to be heard. And so the issue is left for us Cameroonians to sit and conclude on what we began at the Grand National Dialogue. And I think if we are able to have a talk, having a free talk and a talk, especially with those that they have been asking that they don't know who to talk to. And last time, you see, we came up with an initiative of One Cameroon Congress where we came up with 83 names of who exactly to talk to. And these names means that these are the persons who did not attend the Grand National Dialogue, that if listening ears are given to them, then I think that that will be a breakthrough, because let me tell you, to treat this illness needs to include the absent part of it, because the absent part of it is the separatists that were not at the Grand National Dialogue. So if we go that route, I think there's going to be some giant move towards it. And when I talk of the 83 persons, I talk of the separatists in the diaspora, and I talk about the ex-combatants and the ex-reserve leaders of the separatist front, as well as federalists and unionists and those in incarceration.
Dr. Nick, what are you going to do with war entrepreneurs, those who are benefiting from this issue? We just had another report from one newspaper talking about an ex-Amba fighter who is at the origin of multiple explosives that were detonated or uncovered in Kumba, Meme division of the Southwest region. How are you going to achieve those, go over those difficulties?
Let me tell you that, Mr. Lasha, it boils down to the same thing that you believe with me that from what we have observed, this is more of an economic warfare, because there seem to be a lot of people from both fronts both in the government and on the separatist side, who have decided to be reaping a lot of, who are reaping a lot of economic benefits from this. And let me tell you, if you want to ask, just ask for yourself, how did those guns that the boys are using, how did they get this gun? How did they import this gun? How was it delivered to them? These are the same guns that came into the territory via the military that was bought by some of these guys. Bought or seized by some of these guys. Either bought or seized because they are stakeholders in this. When we start to talk about peace, you discover that the greatest opposition to peace are some collaborators in government who don't want peace to come, because if peace comes, their pockets will be dry and empty. So they pray that the war should continue. Last time I even said that if you point an armed terrorist to be kidnapped by the army, you will be shocked that you yourself will be the first person to be shocked, because they don't want this war. They are making a lot of money from it.
Okay, Doctor.
That's all.
I will come back. I will come back to you. Let me, Metro Alex. You listen to Doctor there, and Doctor did talk about dialogue being a process, and apparently you are seeing your own dialogue from an event perspective. Isn't dialogue supposed to be a process which Doctor wants to continue with other goodwill Cameroonians in looking for the lasting solution to this problem?
My point I'm saying, there is only one person in power, the ruling CPDM, and Dr. Nick happened to be in that political party. The ruling CPDM political party, they are in power. They have got guns. France is behind them. Tell me, why do they want to dialogue with you? You're asking somebody to do what Gorbachev did and lose power? They don't want to. That's a fact. We have to be realistic. I know what I want. I know what I want to fight for. But you have to be realistic. Do they want to talk to you? No. Dr. Nick also made a point about we need an inclusive dialogue. Let me tell you, Dr. Nick Santos, that dialogue was inclusive. I know you'll be surprised why. Everyone was invited. Everyone. We put it, me and Padi Asanga, we put it on social media. They were afraid to go there. Everyone. All the Ambazonians leaders. They were invited. They did not have that courage because their courage ends on social media. They were afraid that they were going to be arrested. I went there. I was ready to sacrifice my life. I was ready to be arrested. I never bothered about that. So people, when they want to fight for something, they should be ready to die for what they believe in. I was just sitting there. You talk about both sides. To me, there's no both sides. There's a government. Despite the fact of political differences with the government, there's only one side. And they will claim that they have won the election, the ruling CPDM party. I don't know why, Dr. Nick, you were part of that party. You cannot discuss peace inside your party, come out with a policy. Normally in the UK, what you're doing outside one Cameroon, you were part of Ambazonia, they will sack you because you're not following the policy of the party. You wouldn't be a member of CPDM. Automatically, you've sacked yourself because you're going outside party lines. When they want to make party policy, it has to remain inside the CPDM. You have what you believe in. So you should go inside your political party and come out with a solution because that's your political party. And at the end of the day, we talk about both sides, they're fighting and killing each other. There's a fact that I will tell you. There's only one person in that country or one political party who is responsible to bring peace. And the government, the ruling CPDM government have got a duty to maintain law and order, to enforce laws, to maintain national security. So yes, there are people who are committing crime in Cameroon. There's only one person who should solve that problem. It's the government. It's not both sides. And the government is not doing its function. And that's why I do politics, because we believe we are alternative. We are government in waiting. We can replace the CPDM one day, and it's true. It's factual. And you can do that only through the ballot box. And when we talk about the international community, Mr. Nick, you also talk about international community. Listen, what Ambazonians they were doing, they were repeating what? When we were under Southern Cameroon National Council and Southern Cameroon Youth League, of which I was the public relations officers in the early 90s. They were doing what we collect signatures. With Pandi, Pafoncha, we collect signatures. We gave it to them. They went to the UN. Pamuna, who they were Vice President, Prime Minister, Pafoncha, Barrister Ekotaela, they went to the UN. The UN told them, no, So what the Amazonians have been doing, they have been recycling the same thing that we did in the early 90s in their time. That's why I never joined them, because most of them, they were novice. You cannot be repeating things. If Bamuna, the whole vice president and power functor of the country, Barrister Ekota Elat and maybe Barrister Anyangwe, they went to the UN. So why you spend all these 6 years repeating the same thing that we did on early 90s? If we would have stood and take the advice that some experienced people told us, form a political party, a minor party, and stand for election. If we would have done that long ago in 1990, there would have been change in the Cameroon. But because some people, they had double standard. Some of them, they were supporting SDF. Bamileke people, they put a lot of money in SDF. Now, they did not want a minor party that will solve the Anglophone problem. It is a conflict of interest. And that's why SDF has been a problem, because they don't know where they are going to. They follow money. And money is the root of all evil.
Okay, Maitre Alex, I'll come back to Dr. Nick. Before Glwadys asks you the question that she has for you, can you comment on what the other panelists has just said?
Maitre Alex, listen there, I will tell you that even before I actively engaged with the interim government that I later on resigned from, you can bear witness, and everyone can bear witness, that when the marginalization crisis began, protests began, you were one of the leaders in England, in the UK, and everybody knows that, to the extent that you took your mattress and went and slept in front of the streets or in front of the embassy. So, in the same light, every about 70 or 80% of English-speaking Cameroonians or Anglophone Cameroonians went out for the marginalization, which is not a crime for protested yet. There is an Anglophone problem, yes, but the Anglophone problem was hijacked by Amazonians, because at the early days we couldn't draw that fine line between those who were actually continuing the marginalization protest and those who were gangsters, thieves, and scammers and armed robbers who hijacked the whole thing and transformed it into what we have today. But that is clear that some of us had to retrace our steps and belong to where we belong. But the issue is, let me make it clear to you, fighting or advocating for the rights of Anglophones or finding yourself in the extremist portion does not stop you from being a member of a political party in Cameroon. From 18 years and above, you have to choose your political party. And that did not also stop people from belonging to their previous political parties, of which they are not resigned from. When you talk of party excluding some persons, the party, the CPDM, knows that there is a problem in the country. They know. And within the CPDM itself, you have the progressives, who are young people like us, the Bomotonguina and the others. We are progressives within the CPDM. It doesn't mean that we don't know about what is happening, but we keep on giving suggestions as to how to resolve the issue. That's why the One Cameroon Congress agenda of identifying who to talk with, or who to talk to, was proposed by members of the CPDM, like names of people to talk. And these are people who are not
Glwadys, let's get back to Maitre Alex.
Effectivement. Maître Alex.
They happen to rise with those fighting against marginalization, or those who sympathize with the Amazonians, but the party keeps those whom they believe in as their staunch members. Because you remember, I was vice president in Morocco in 1993-94 of the CPDM youth section. So don't go into my party stuff, because that party, I am there very strong, and we are on the progressive way. Thank you.
Ok, Dr. Nick, avant de partir vers Maître Alex, vous avez donné une liste de séparatistes qui doivent être appelés pour ce second dialogue. La question que je voudrais vous poser, c'est où est-ce que ce dialogue va se tenir?
Yeah, Ms. Glwadys, one thing is certain is that the first problem we wanted to resolve was to put an end to that question of we don't know who to dialogue with, or we don't know who to dialogue with. Not organizations names of individuals to dialogue with, to talk with, and that is the first phase. The second phase comes down to answer your question of where it's going to take place. There's going to be a pre-talk. A pre-talk is like the government engages by making phone calls to these persons individually and talk with them and get their suggestions on where it's appropriate for them to meet, to talk and to discuss. Because in the pre-talk, they're going to schedule a definite talk. And in that pre-talk, they're going to schedule a definite talk, or they can schedule a venue for a pre-talk. After the pre-talk, they can decide to schedule a venue for the final talk. The final talk has still take place in Cameroon. I know that most people will say that...
With Ayabacho and the rest coming, do you think their security is guaranteed?
Possibility, Lasha. There is a possibility for everyone there to have a discussion in Cameroon. The issue is they can work out that in the pre-talk. If there is good faith, for example, if the prisoners in jail are supposed to attend a pre-talk or a definite talk, and the government begins by showing good faith of releasing them so as to prepare for that talk, and also give them amnesty and make some guarantees in the presence of the third party, I think all of them will be able to fight Cameroon. Trying to Cameroon is the problem. The problem is, what are the guarantees that they will not be arrested? What are the safeguards, and who is the guarantor of such an agreement?
Okay.
That is the issue.
Okay. Glwadys.
Donc, Maître Alex, parlons à présent des prochaines élections présidentielles au Cameroun. Il ne manque plus qu'une semaine pour s'inscrire sur les listes électorales. Est-ce que vous pensez au jour d'aujourd'hui que les Camerounais sont encore motivés à peut-être s'inscrire sur les listes électorales au regard de tout ce brouhaha politique que nous observons dernièrement?
Yes, before I answer your question, I will say somebody is talking about that there was international warrant to arrest most of these separatists abroad. I should tell you, it's not true. Let me tell you, invitation letter, they invited everyone to come there was an amnesty. It's because most of them, they were coward, they were afraid. And if you are not a coward, we should distinguish between criminality and political opinion. The Constitution of Cameroon allows people to have political opinion. Separation is a political opinion. What people have been doing, they have been abducting people, that's not fighting for Anglophone. Kidnapping for ransom, that's not fighting for Anglophone. Rape people, lockdown, which is a war crime, that's not fighting for Anglophone. The reason I went to Cameroon, I was not scared. Before I do something, I know what the law says. What are people say, oh, you got a flag, the law says in this country it's not a crime, it's your personal property. So people have been doing things without knowing what the law says. That's their problem. I'm not scared of the government of Cameroon to arrest me. They arrest me, they put me down, say, bring what I've done, tell me what's my crime. But a lot of people have come and confessed on social media, I killed this, ex-colonel Ndile. You kill people, civilians, then you're scared to go to Cameroon. I will never forgive anyone who has killed civilians. If Mr. Bia forgive you, I will not forgive you. They killed Chief Banda, kidnapped 11 Bakore chief. They killed the head of Sakwe. What has Sakwe got to do with Anglophone? Those who have killed people will never have amnesty. If Mr. Bia gives you amnesty, we, the people of the Cameroons, will not give you that amnesty because you have killed our people. You must pay for that. Mr. Bia does not own people. Justice is being done for the people of the Cameroons, not for Mr. Bia. Mr. Bia can pardon you, but the people of the Cameroons will never pardon any person. We saw what happened, kidnapping or whatsoever. Who asked you to kidnap people? Are you going to bring those people back? No. Mr. Bia will pardon you, but the people of the Cameroons will never pardon any person who has individual. They will never pardon any person who has committed a war crime. It is very important that we know this. It is very important, and I will never, personally, once you take a human life, I will never pardon you. Even those people who are in the GTR, some of them have self-confessed, they kill people there, they will pay for it. If you go and fight paramilitary against the government of Cameroon military, that's a different thing. When you go around harassing people, individual, civilians, the war crime is stated clear. Civilians are not part of your war. Lockdown is a criminal, is a war crime. But they don't know that. They keep on saying that lockdown is it's civil unrest. If you ask people, normal people that civil unrest or protest, they do that willingly. That's not a war crime. It's very important. And I'll come back again to what said Mr. Nick. It's very important, Dr. Nick, because you are talking about peace talk. I'm talking out of experience. This thing you have to solve it is a political problem. If you say you want to meet people and talk about them, who have given that right? A CPD and parliamentarian will say, I was voted. Who voted for you people to come and talk on behalf of people? We have seen that. Scotland, the minority, they had problem. Some people created Scottish National Party. Today, they have devolution. They are running Scotland. We have seen Sinn Féin in Northern Ireland. They had problems. They have been having wars and war terrorism for how many years? They had what they call power sharing agreement. They have Sinn Féin party. The Flemish, they are minority in Belgium. They use political party. The Catalans, they use political party. Quebec, political party. And you have to have the mandate. Somebody have to vote for you. I cannot just sit here. I want to speak on behalf of Anglophone who have given me that mandate. The only way to get the mandate is to stand for election. Go back to your point, Glwadys. It's very important. You talk about election. I'm here to give you the registration. I'm looking for alternative. Part of this registration is a way to steal election or to rig election. To me, our party, what we believe in British Cameroon National Party, election should be compulsory. Registration should be compulsory rather. Everybody should be registered. This thing that they come, oh, it's closing down, then they keep it up. It's a way to control the voters. You should make it, I don't know whether it's 18 years or 21 in Cameroon. It should be compulsory. We need to see more than 15 million people register. We don't want to see a country that 2 million people will vote for Mr. Biya. It tells you that Mr. Biya is not a legitimate president. Not up to 50% of the population voted for him. Our policy is that registration should be compulsory. Automatically, you are a Cameroonian, everybody, you automatically register. We don't need to come every year, we need to register people. That is a way to stop the corruption or rigging elections.
Okay, thank you, Maitre Alex. Thank you for coming. And let's have the last words of Dr. Nick before we quit today's program. Dr. Nick, you listen to him. Your last words to televiewers who are watching us.
Yeah, effort coming up with the body. And I understand that this process will all end in Cameroon through the ballot box. Because no matter what is happening now, we should begin to realize that there is no way, if you are Anglophone, you are Francophone, you are whatsoever, as a Cameroonian, you must express your opinion only through the power of the ballot box. And that's why I keep on telling all my brothers and sisters that in spite of what organizations or tribal groups or whatsoever that you belong to, try to get yourself in a political party. Mr. Alex, the Maitre Alex has an alternative to you people. It's party that is coming up, which I still have to read the manifesto of the party. And then also to encourage people that they should consider party supreme, because that's the only channel through which you can express your genuine power and make effective change in Cameroon.
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming. Thank you to televiewers on My Media Prime Television for watching this other edition of the program, which was produced for us by Christain, Tebong. We were Glwadys, Bomotonguina, and myself, Lasha Kingsley. See you tomorrow for yet another edition of what our papers in Cameroon must have carried. Bye-bye.